Why Germany is so rich? I'm not really sure. We're about to learn. It sounds really impressive. And this is from a channel called Brit in Germany. All right, so be links in the description down below so you can watch the whole thing uninterrupted and browse our channel. This is a Discord suggestion from Ahsoka, so thank you for that. Let's learn about the stellar economy of Germany. Here we go.
This is a book about Germany. Why the Germans do it better. It's gotten me obsessed with this idea. How did Germany go from being the sick man of Europe to the largest economy in Europe in just a decade? Here's what I want to know. Why is Germany so rich? Let's look at Germany. But wait, stop. Germany is not just Europe's largest economy, it is one of the largest in the entire world.
Wow.
Only the US, China, and Japan have greater output than Germany, and Germany is the world's third largest exporter.
Whoa, third largest exporter. Damn, I did not realize that. I figured going into this based on really just, nothing, that they were probably one of the highest GDPs. I would have guessed top 10. Did he say fourth? Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Just because, the size, right? I don't actually know the population of Germany. I would guess quite a few dozen million. Maybe 40 or 50 million would be my guess. Wow, 83.13 million as of 2021. And obviously size, it's not like super small or anything, but I'd say it's small compared to China and the US, of course.
According to Europe's economic hub, Germany
impressive.
accounts for 21% of Europe's GDP with only 16% of its population. In fact, Norman Walter, the former chief economist of Deutsche Bank, stated in 2012,
"We Germans have 1% of the labor force of the world, and we have 10% of the exports of the world."
Holy smokes.
That gives you an idea how successful and how oriented towards international markets we are.
1% of the labor force produces every 1 in 10 exports. That's pretty wild. That puts it into perspective.
Granted, this figure has decreased since the heyday of 2016, but Germany is still the world's third largest exporter behind the US and China.
Wow.
So how does Germany manage to achieve these results? After all, it's hardly a fair comparison, given that the US and China are both vastly bigger in terms of landmass and population size.
Right.
Well, to answer this, we need to look into the mechanics of Germany's economy. Now, for Germany to export so much, it obviously needs to produce and manufacture products. Now, I'm sure you knew this already, but what's different about Germany is the process and how this is carried out. I'm sure.
Now this I'm looking forward to. I'm going to say before he even says anything, my perception, as well as I'd say general American perception, is German products are just usually associated with really good quality, maybe a little more money to purchase, but like worth the money type of deal. Like my shaver is a Braun or Brown, however you want to say that. And it's lasted a long time, put it through its paces, and it does well. I think every American at one point, if they're even the slightest car guy or car girl, whatever, has an interest at some point in Beamers or Mercedes or Audi or whatever. So, the one German car I had, which was a Mercedes long ago, it was really fun. So, yeah.
You know that Germany has a lot of highly successful companies which have become household names, such as BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, Allianz, and Daimler. But really, this is just the tip of the iceberg. 99% of companies belong to the Mittelstand. So what is the Mittelstand? This is a very important term, so please stay focused for the next couple of minutes.
Here we go.
The Mittelstand has really caused a lot of confusion because there is no literal English translation for this term. It's often translated into small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs. This meaning companies with 500 employees or less.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, this definition is actually just really not accurate, as much larger companies, for example, Robert Bosch, also consider themselves as belonging to the Mittelstand.
Oh, okay.
In fact, Ludwig Erhard, the economics minister who was heralded as crafting Germany's post-war economic miracle, warned against reducing the Mittelstand to just a quantitative definition, but instead emphasized more qualitative characteristics, as it is much more of an ethos and a fundamental disposition of how one acts and behaves in society. So this is the real juice. The German Mittelstand is unique, not necessarily because it produces so much, but because of the way the companies and the staff interact with society at large. Okay, so what exactly does this mean? We need to dig a little bit deeper into really the company ethos and structure of these Mittelstand companies. The Mittelstand are typically small, highly specialized and media-shy companies.
Okay.
This is why most of us has never heard of any of these so-called hidden champions. The typical Mittelstand company is located in a small town or village, like Tauber-Bischofsheim, where Trepel, the airport equipment manufacturer, is from, or Stockdorf, where Webesto is from, maybe even Neutraubling or...
Wow, interesting contrast between like this very modern architecture, very nice looking building, right? And then look at that. That's cool. That's aesthetic. That's very aesthetic. Let me rewind so we get a fluid learning here, though.
Small town or village, like Tauber-Bischofsheim, where Trepel, the airport equipment manufacturer, is from, or Stockdorf, where Webesto is from, maybe even Neutraubling or Hasewinkel. And don't worry if you've never heard of any of these places, I hadn't either. The important thing to remember is that a lot of Germany's very highly successful and highly specialized companies are not located in urban centers, but rather in very small towns or villages with populations of less than 5,000.
No kidding.
So why exactly is this important? Well, generally, the smaller the company, the closer the relationships. In some instances, the owners or the managers of the company are actually born in the same town as the majority of the staff, leading to really close and intimate relationships. Many are heavily involved in the communities, being board members on clubs or societies within their town or village. Another hallmark of the German Mittelstand is to make rather than buy, prioritizing quality over scale and cost. Given that relationships are such a fundamental, it's no surprise that employee turnover is very low. And in Germany, there is often new talent coming in through the vocational apprenticeship program.
Yeah, let me say, I won't throw their name out there, but some people might know. Yeah, I worked for an automotive company that was not German, and whether they were great in the past or not, I'm not really sure. But in the near present, in the last 10 years or whatever, this automotive company, when I worked there, at this assembly plant. Yeah, they just wanted numbers. They just wanted you to crank these cars out as fast as you could. And to be fair, from the words of upper people, they could joke around all they want, but, quality was not the biggest priority. Just being real. They wanted the numbers. Most cars we can get, right? In my opinion, quality is better than quantity. You have to have a mixture or a balance of both, right? You can't have an amazing product that reaches no one. You can't just crank products out that don't have any craftsmanship or any pride in them, because what good is a bunch of junk, right? The fact that it seems like most of these German companies have, a pride in the product, and of course, an emphasis on quality is just an attractive thing, right? I think that's how it should be for almost any company.
Now, when it comes to education, it is often cited as being one of the reasons as to why Germany is so successful. It empowers students to earn while they learn. Starting at around 500 euros a month, they are learning very practical skills in the marketplace in industries with very clear career paths. And on top of this, they're getting paid for it. Compare this with the UK or the US model, where students get into serious debt to learn things which do not always have a clear career path and arguably also have little real value in the market.
Wow, I don't know what we're looking at here, but very interesting. Again, architecture and stuff. Wow, like totally. When I see pictures of, honestly, Europe in general, it's just so historic looking and just wild, intricate architecture. And, here in the United States, you might have cities that have like one building or one church that stands out for its intricate architecture, and then the rest looks just kind of bland or generic or whatever, So, I mean, it's quite interesting to see. And then on the previous point, yeah, it is sad. So many Americans know, colleagues or friends or whatever, that go into pretty serious debt for college and then for a degree that they don't end up using for their job. So it seems like all kind of a wash, like a waste. But you're stuck with the debt for life. So sucks.
Marketplace. In fact, the mindset around education and finance or funding is fundamentally different in Germany compared to many other countries throughout the world, which leads me on to my next point: debt. Now, Germany has very low private debt, and in general, it's safe to say that Germans are rather uncomfortable getting into debt. Now, of course, there are economic factors for this. One of the main reasons is the actual term itself. So the word for debt in German is Schuld or Schulden, which is exactly the same word for guilt guilty.
There you go.
And given Germany's difficult past, this word carries a lot of negative connotations with it, not least of all the term collective guilt or kollektive Schuld, which was coined by the Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung in 1945. Now, the past aside,
so that's must be an effective way, right, to keep people out of massive debt. I mean, honestly, they end up feeling guilty anyway. Just put it up front, right? Make it the same word. That's what it should be called here. Let's get rid of debt. You're gonna go into guilt. You're gonna massive guilt. It might be more effective.
Germans are really just sensible. They live within their means and they only really buy what they can actually afford.
Wow.
Now, this might seem like common sense to a lot of you, but if you compare this to countries like the US, the UK, and Australia, it's actually a very different approach.
I was going to say that's spectacular, but you know what? At the same time, living, not beyond your means, being smart, being frugal to an extent, shouldn't really be spectacular. It should just be common sense. So it's kind of one of those things. It's great that the majority of Germans think like that. If only some Americans could catch on to that, because I feel like anymore, so many people go into massive debt and rack up the credit cards and try and get new everything, and it's just it's beyond their means, and it just creates this hole that it seems like you can never dig yourself out of. It's pretty sad.
Spending in Germany is also reflected of this. In 2021, the German government national debt was 2.48 trillion euros, or 69% of GDP. Wait, what? $2.48 trillion of debt? Yes, you heard that right. And yes, you're also right when you think that's a lot of money. It is a scary amount of debt. However, let's just put this into context. The UK's national debt was 102% of GDP. France was 112%. The US, a whopping $30 trillion of debt, or 130% of GDP. And Italy was even 150% of the country's total GDP. This is seriously troubling. Okay, so let's just recap real quick. Germany has very strong manufacturing and exports, and they focus on quality.
Awesome.
Those relationship ties within small companies lead to high productivity.
Admirable.
A real focus on practical education is really key in sustaining the current economic climate.
Smart.
And a cultural mentality of living within your means and contributing to society in a positive way.
Common sense.
All of these things contribute to keeping the national debt down and to growing Germany's wealth. However, there is one thing that we have not yet discussed. And that is the euro. According to a report by the Center for European Policy, Germany gained almost 1.9 trillion euros, or 2.1 trillion US dollars, between 1999 and 2017 as a result of the introduction of the euro. That sounds like an absurd amount of money to me. Although the researchers did apply a rigorous framework in this study, they did admit that a lack of reliable empirical data made the analysis difficult. And let's be honest, it is very difficult to attribute wealth to just one factor given the complexity of this topic. So the amount of 1.9 trillion euros may not be accurate. However, it's safe to say that many economists agree that Germany did benefit from the introduction of the euro. The main reason for this was through the devaluation of its own currency. One of the main reasons that many countries saw a drop in prosperity was international competitiveness. Before the euro, countries like Italy and France were able to devalue their currencies to make exports cheaper on the world market. As the Deutsche Mark was almost double the value of the euro at the time of introduction, the switch provided a boost for German exports, which became cheaper to overseas consumers as a result. Germany is a founding member of the EU and also home to the European Central Bank, making it one of the most important members of this economic and political alliance.
Sounds like it.
And it is seen by most of the world as the leading nation within the European Union. However, some would criticize Germany's lack of innovation and reluctance to jump into the tech boom of the 90s. Many worry that Germany is not innovating as the world invests more and more into digital products and the internet. On the other hand, some would argue that it was exactly this hyper-focus and refusal to be distracted by the next big thing which was a major factor in Germany's success and still is to this day. Needless to say, this did not happen overnight. Germany first became Europe's largest economy in 1900, where it had already made big gains into the steel production industry and the production of chemicals.
Nice.
So I do hope you now have a better understanding of why Germany is so rich. Time will tell if Germany can maintain its position on the world stage.
I think in the near future, for sure. I'm not an economist and I'm not a European expert by any means. Not at all. But I think in the near future, at least the next 10 years, I think they're still going to be a top player. I think they're going to stay, where they're at in that successful area. I think their output and their GDP is, again, very impressive for their size and population. I do not recall him saying the population, so let me look at that real quick. Wow, 83.13 million as of 2021, just below Turkey in population. Quite a few more than France. I didn't actually know that. I thought I would have thought France had more, if I'm being honest. That's not based on anything, just a guess. I would have thought France had more. So, yeah, that's a lot of people. But again, not a lot of people compared to the U.S., let's say, right? We have over 330 million or something. China has like billions and billions. So, yeah, it's very impressive, I think, nonetheless. And it comes down to, like he said at the end, it comes down to simple things. Quality, a good local relationship in a lot of cases, and just strong exports. Talk about the third strongest exports behind China and U.S., or third most exports, rather. That is just absolutely incredible, right? It definitely would lead to, I'd say, some success. So let me know what you think of this down below. Of course, would you like to add anything, some more facts or suggestions about this type of thing when it comes to economics or different countries or Germany? Very fascinating stuff so far. Thanks again to Ahsoka for that suggestion. Good stuff as always. And of course, please throw a like on this if you enjoyed it and subscribe to be part of this amazing community. We're almost at 100K, so thank you for that, guys. Check him out in the description, and then you can watch the original video uninterrupted, all that good stuff. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.